We're covering the Democratic governor's race of Georgia. And, I mean, just vibes and feelings right off the bat. The first thing I picked up from the Democrats was, what do you see? Do you see frowning faces here? I mean, the Republicans just freaked me out. They were the grouchiest. If there was an award for grouchiest debate of the year, they would win it. I mean, and look here, you just at a glance. Let's see. At a glance. Let's see. Smile. Yeah. Let's see. I mean, I'm just randomly doing this. Smile, positive. Smile. Let me go on. This guy. You know, any frame. I'm just randomly picking these frames. He was a Republican a month ago. Smile. See, any frame here. Smile. They're upbeat, positive. To the point, and not about defensive. Well, get out of my business. It was positive, and specifically naming exactly what they were going to do, how they were going to do it, and frankly brought up.
Oh, let's go over here. Now let's compare that to the Republican debates. Here we go. I could pause this frame, and anywhere in the debate it'll be the same look of disgust, angry. He's angry, and he's really he's mad at commercials, and he wants to be called Tom. They're calling him Thomas. That's his name when he's wanted by the law. Like, there he is, disgusted. I mean, it's this God. Not him, but there he is again. This guy. He's a moderator. He's looking disgusted. This guy's never gonna smile. Let's go on. Yeah, there he is. Thinking about it. Y'all had too many commercials. He's the only time. Oh God. Not this guy. He was like the only one. That's a moderator. That's when he's busted. He only smiled twice, and that's when he gets busted. You'll see if you watch it. Back to that. Okay. Oh no. I mean, anywhere you look, I'm just randomly going through here. Okay, she's a moderator. Alright? Okay, that's enough of that, I guess. That's the only one that was pleasant. Okay. So, where was I?
Important points and not stupid ones like the Republican side. Okay, so I'm not going to play all the clips, but we got Jeff Duncan, who was a Republican. He just switched over to Democrat, and he starts out talking about the rainy day fund. Apparently these states have a rainy day fund, $17 billion, and take 10% of it, $1.7 billion, put it in a jumpstart fund to fund programs like TAMP, Medicare, affordable housing. I don't know. What funds did they use before they were cut by the Republicans? And one more thing. Oh, lost my place here.
As far as taxes goes, just real quick here, I want to read something that I prepared for something else one time. We property tax is unconstitutional. You know, they get all these surpluses from our money they're not supposed to be taxing us on. And I'm going to read you. To fight taxation without representation to avoid dictatorship over land, so the founding fathers chose allodial, that's ALLODIAL, allodial ownership of land for the system of ownership. In Handel versus Crandall, 1848. So that we own the land absolutely, similar to the king in common law England. Allodium, man's own land which he possesses merely in his own right, without owning any rent or service to any system. Wallace versus Hampstead, 1863. Allodium, Black Law's Dictionary, is land held absolutely in one's own right and not of any lord or superior. Land not subject to federal duties or burdens, like a tax. An estate held by absolute ownership without recognizing any superior to whom any duty is due on account thereof. And perpetuity, 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 containing forever, continuous forever, legally pertaining to real property, in terms of an allodial title, to have the property of inalienability forever. Nothing more need to be done to establish the ownership of the sovereigns to their land. So whenever they talk about we'll freeze the property tax, well, that just means you've already raised it to hell. You know, that just means you're going to leave it high and then pick and buzzard and take 17. They always have these surpluses. At that same school board meeting, there one guy was shouting out they had like millions in surplus. I can't remember the exact figure. And I'm thinking, if that's just one county, they probably got more than 17 billion stashed away for the whole state. I mean, and then they'll send us a little bird seed. We'll cut you a check for some 1/8 of 1%. We're like, keep your chicken feed check. But anyway, where were we here? I want to go to, now this guy, I want to go to 1625. Was that right? Sorry. Yeah, 1625. I want to start that at, let's see. Rick. Yeah, Estevez. Okay, well, I guess it starts about here, so.
And once you go there, you have an opportunity to have access to this economy. We need to make sure that we have an economy
access to this
all
economy.
families, yours and mine,
He's okay
have
too.
access to this economy.
I'll get to him in a minute.
Thank you. Jason
all right, here we go.
It's your turn to respond.
Okay.
Georgians see what's happening in Trump's economy.
Now this is a guy that I plan on voting for. I would vote for him.
Billionaires and special interests are lining their pockets while you pay the bill. What I would make sure we do is that we take the tax handouts that are currently going to data centers, about $2.5 billion in the state of Georgia, and put that money in your pockets where that belongs. That's a little bit over $500 per taxpayer. I would also work with cities and counties to cut property taxes. It's something that I did as a state senator, where I worked with the Atlanta Public Schools Board of Education to give seniors in the city of Atlanta up to $1,000 off of their property tax bill. I also want to make sure that people have the opportunity to build their own wealth, starting with housing, stopping private equity funds from buying up all of our single-family homes, but also working all across the state to build affordable housing. And most importantly, supporting our small business owners, making sure that they have the support and the capital that they need to open and grow throughout this great state.
Thank you.
Okay, so see, he mentions data centers. Well, you'll never hear that in a Republican debate. these data centers are horrible. That's the one thing they need to fight, to not open. I mean, they're polluting. They use tons of water, and a lot of places cities don't even have the water to give them, and it's unsustainable for the amount of water they want to use. Like in Coweta County here, they had it in the news that this data center had sucked up 30 million gallons of water without prepaying, and all the other residents around have low water pressure now, and that they're noisy and they're secretive. I mean, what are they really up to? Because under open records, if it was just storing data like YouTube videos, then why do they have people working there signing non-disclosure agreements without telling you what they're for? I'll tell you what they're for. They're up to no good. They're up to transhumanism, chips in people, tracking people night and day, and we need to say no. But anyway, let's move on to this next guy, 17... Oh, I went too far. 17... Oh, I can't... Well, we'll just have to look.
And the capital
He's
that
coming
they
up
need
next.
to open and grow throughout this great state.
Thank you. Our panel will now ask a question to an individual candidate. We'll start with Chuck Williams asking a question for Derek Jackson. Once again, you have...
Okay, Derek Jackson is the happy form of Rick Jackson over on the Republican side. He's a Democrat Jackson, the happy face. And Derek Jackson's a happy face, and Rick Jackson's a frowny face. Actually, this guy's not too bad. He's going to give minimum wage pump it up to 20. He's going to pump it up to 20, from $5 an hour to $20 an hour. That was his, that's how he kicked it off. That was his, intro.
60 seconds for response.
Representative Jackson, Georgia has one of the highest uninsured rates in the country. You and everyone on this stage wants to expand Medicaid immediately. If Republicans maintain control of the General Assembly, how would you pass that and fund it without straining the state's budget?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Chuck. So we have to start with Medicaid expansion. I mean, right now we have a health care crisis. Just 3 years ago, 169 women died right here in Georgia. And not just in urban areas, but suburban and rural areas as well.
Ooh, the Republicans didn't bring that up.
And so what we have to do is make sure that Republicans and Democrats understand the gravity of what's happening. 25 years ago,
Republicans don't care.
We had 12 counties experiencing more deaths than births. Today, 94 counties.
Okay, now, yeah, that right there. I thought I wrote that down. Yeah, 25 years ago, there were only 12 counties that experienced more deaths than births. And now, he's saying, let's listen to that again.
Straining the state's budget.
I want to hear that again.
Thank you for the question, Chuck. So we have to start with Medicaid expansion. I mean, right now we have a health care crisis. Just 3 years ago, 169 women died right here in Georgia. And not just in urban areas, but suburban and rural areas as well. And so what we have to do is make sure that Republicans and Democrats understand the gravity of what's happening. 25 years ago, we had 12 counties experiencing more deaths than births. Today, 94 counties experience more deaths than births. So we got to make it real for both parties to understand the gravity of the situation. And then
tell that to the elitists thinking they got to do population control. We got more deaths than births.
On a $14.3 billion surplus. So let's take at least $2 billion of those dollars and infuse it to keep these
Hey, why not all of it?
Hospitals closing. There are 13 hospitals on the brink of closing right now. And so once we do that, and we'll come to a consensus between Republicans and Democrats, those who I've been serving with for the last 10 years, and say, look at the gravity of this situation. Women are dying. A month ago, we just got an F-. Let's make Georgia the #1 state for families, not
Thank you very
business.
much. Thank you.
All right, so then they go on to Jeff Duncan, who just turned Republican. And he's just saying that he's changed his mind, that he's going to vote for abortion rights and gun control and repeal the 6-week ban. And then we've got Bottoms. Keisha Lance Bottoms. She's balanced budget. Just vague crap. I'm definitely not voting for her. And now let's go to Mike Thurman. He's also... I like what he's got to say about sales tax 22.18. 22. I don't even want to hear what she's got to say. Ugh. Okay, here's Mike Thurman.
Cutting the state sales tax in half. I think my main question, there was a big debate at the state capitol of go after income tax versus going after sales tax, or even telling how counties and cities do property tax. Why sales tax over the other two?
Well, first of all, we are witnessing a historic shift of wealth from working class Georgians to wealthy Georgians. You know, because you're a tax expert, that the sales tax is the most aggressive tax. And so by cutting a property tax and cutting income tax and then shifting it to the sales tax, which was the plan of the Republican leadership, you're putting a tax burden on the people who can afford it the least. What I'm going to do is put this government back in the hands of Georgians. I'm going to get the hand out of the pocket of hard-working men and women. Look, this sales tax is egregious and it is unfair. Not only are we going to cut the sales tax in half, I'm going to eliminate the horrendous tampon tax. Georgia is one of the few states in America that still taxing feminine hygiene products. It's unfair, and I'm a girl dad. And I tell you this, I promise Micaiah, we're going to get rid of that horrendous tax on feminine hygiene products.
Well, he must hate having to buy those. That sounds like a personal issue to me.
Thank you. Chuck, it's your turn to ask Olu Brown.
Olu Brown is he's policy, rights of women and gays, unions, seniors, very vague stuff. Okay, let's jump back to Jason Estevez, my favorite, 2537. 25.
Opening statement brought up reaching out to cities and counties about property taxes. That whole debate at the state capitol, as a former senator, you know that they have a strong voice at the capitol, counties and cities. They pushed back pretty hard on some of the property tax proposals, saying this is where our money comes from, roughly about $6 billion. How do you address local and city governments who deliver those services, who say we need that money to deliver those services?
Absolutely. Look, when I was in the legislature, I was proud to work with Atlanta Public Schools to
smiling.
provide a targeted tax relief measure for seniors who were being gentrified out of their homes. And because of the work that we did, seniors across the city are receiving $1,000 off of their property taxes. And at that same time, Atlanta Public Schools is able to continue to provide the services to the students across the city. I would do the same thing working across the state with cities and counties to ensure that they are able to provide the same services, but also provide needed relief. The other thing I would do is provide those cities and counties the tools that they need to fight back against some of these commercial property owners and companies that are not paying their fair share.
Yeah.
And the reality is the burden of taxes, especially when it comes to property taxes across this state, are being borne by residential property owners. And I want to make sure we're giving those cities and counties the tools that they need to go more aggressively to ensure that commercial properties are appraised at the appropriate value.
Amen, brother.
Thank you. Chuck, please.
And I'd add to that, and I would add to that and say, let's let the commercial companies pay all the property tax and decrease it for all of us. Which is what I also said. I said, or let them pay, make them pay more to keep their butts from moving in anyway. Okay, and And then Amanda Duffy, she's an accountant. She wants to fix tax brackets like before with a flat rate, before the flat rate came into existence. Okay. Now let's skip over to Jeff Duncan's question to Estevez. Alright, it's 2803. That's gonna get good. We might. What did I say? 2803. Come on. 28. Here we go.
To respond. And the person who asked the question will get a 30-second rebuttal. Jeff Duncan, you get the first question for one of your opponents.
Thank you so much. My question is for Jason Estevez, and obviously campaigns are a contact sport, and you and I both know that. You've made a foundational piece of your campaign around attacking me. Every chance you get, whether it be social media, in speeches, and everything in between. But I think we all have to agree that a Democrat's got to win this race. If a Republican wins, it's trouble. My question is this: if I'm able to be the nominee for us Democrats, will you support me and vote for me in the general election?
Thank you for that question. And look, I'll support whoever the nominee is. I just believe that the people of this great state are going to nominate me. And the reality is that when you look at your transformation, and I appreciate that you have joined the Democratic Party, the question is not about the transformation. The question is about your record. And the reality is you oversaw some of the worst legislation that we've seen in the last decade, whether you are talking about campus carry or the abortion ban or voter suppression laws. Georgians have been impacted by that. And Democrats are concerned with someone who joins the party and a month later says they should be the nominee for the highest office in this state. You don't join a church and then the next month say that you want to be senior pastor. We've been taught long ago that when people show you who they are, you believe them. And until you show us something otherwise, we can't believe you on that.
Thank you. Jeff Duncan, your rebuttal. 30 seconds.
Your answer is unfortunate but expected, and it still promotes a problem. I think we all have to realize that if a Republican wins this race, Donald Trump will literally have an office at the state capitol.
Boo.
And so I stand here and pledge to any one of you that is the nominee, I will vote for you and I will support you in the nomination and the election in November.
Thank you. Keisha Lance Bottoms, please ask a question of one of your opponents.
This question is for Representative Jackson. On issues of reproductive freedom, voting rights, Medicaid expansion, continuously Republican leaders have gotten it wrong in this state. What do you feel voters should use as their litmus test in evaluating leaders in this campaign season?
Yeah. Thank you for the question, Madam Mayor. Listen, just look at what's been happening the last 30 years under Republican rule. It is a problem where we just received an F- for Georgia women's health. When women are dying, 3 years ago, 169 women died. If that was a plane crash, we would have stopped everything. But what did Georgia do? We just kept on going because 169 women died. 772 children died. Why? Because there's this bill that was just mentioned of a person that was the lieutenant governor at the time. We got to stop this madness. And so Georgia, we have to have a Democratic governor this time to fix these problems. So that way 82 counties without an OBGYN, we can have an OBGYN. And 67 counties do not have a pediatrician. So yes, Madam Mayor, you're exactly right. We got to fix this problem, and it's going to take a Democrat to fix it.
Mayor Bottoms?
I don't know, that's 67 counties, 62 counties with no pediatrician, and 82 counties with no OBGYN. I didn't know that. Alright, I'm gonna, let's see, we don't have as much stuff to cover for the Democrats, so I'm gonna do just one more, part two. I'm gonna do part 2 of this, and then, so let me go ahead and shift over to part 2.